Alright, so in the last video, we posted our name, email, and password, encrypted password, up to our database through our PHP. The first video, we set up the Android with the Volley and the MySingleton and the string requests and all that. And as long as you're getting messages back to your phone, you're set up. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, you're good to go on your Android. You know, eventually we'll work with JSON and stuff like that, which is a whole nother thing. Basically, you know, how the data is delivered back to you. But for right now, this is good enough. You are connecting to your database if you followed everything. So, like I say, we went in here, we created our variables of our post from our website, the name, email, and password. Of course, I just keep them the same name. Went in here, we checked to see if we was already in the database. Now, this was something that I didn't show you in the last video, but I wanted to show you in this video. Okay, if we go over here to the database, because we're checking, selecting from users where email equals email, so the email that I'm posting, checking it while we're running the query, basically taking the connection and then running this query up here. And then we're checking to see if the number of rows are greater than 0, because if they are, it's already in there. And if it is, we're going to echo back email already exists. So if we go over here to the database, showed you this at the end, you can clearly see I'm in there and that email is in there, cruising_karaoke@yahoo.com. So if we go back over to our phone and we click on this now, it should come back and tell us that the email's already, what was it? The email's already in use, I believe it was. Yeah, email already exists. So, I'm going to click it right now. And email already exists because it's in there, which is what we want. So we got it to send it to the database, and then we said, okay, you know what? Now I want to verify that that's your email. So we went and we put them in the database, but like I say, if you remember, we went in here and we gave them a confirm code of 0, which means false. A 1 will be true. So we send them this code and email in a link to them, which, if you remember, I got over here in my email. We go back over here and we basically grabbed, we said do not reply at mytestapp.com, that's who it's from, to them, whatever email they entered. In this case, they both happen to be the same. And subject, MyTestApp email verification, which was the subject line, and then the message was, I should have printed out my name. Please click on the link below to verify, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, here, we did the email basically all the way up to .php here, and then we added on this stuff. So, little question mark, and then we put email equals whatever email I put in there, and code equals whatever code that random thing generated up here. So we picked a random number, and when we go over here to my email, sure enough, there's the website, connect email ver.php, question mark, email equals, well, now it's not the variable, it's the actual cruising karaoke at yahoo.com, and the code is not the variable code, it's the number that it generated. So that's over here, and then if you look at the rest, it's from do not reply at mytestapp.com, and it's to Cruising Karaoke because that's the address that I put in there, and then everything else is set up exactly the way that I had it. So, alright, Of course, you can format that better if you want to, but like I said, we're just trying to get the functionality working right now. All right, so let's see where we're at. We need to go over and we need to be able to click on this because, like I say, right now it's not going to do anything because there's not, well, actually it will, but I mean for you it won't. So we got to go over and we got to create this page so that it will change that information in the database. We're going to do that here in just a second. So you're going to create another file, new, and then once you do, you just file, save as, and you're going to name it whatever you want, but it's got to have a .php extension. I call mine email ver. You can call it verification, you can call it whatever. But once again, you're going to have to put that into that last page, you know, when we set where it's going to point to. Okay, and then of course your open and close tags for your PHP, and we're going to require once connect because we have to go in. You're always going to need that connect because you got to go in and talk to the database, and without it you can't. Alright, and for this we're not posting, we are getting, because we're not writing to, we are getting. So we want to get the email and we want to get the code. So, and that's what we're passing in here, if you remember, right? Because when we click on that link, we're coming to this page and we have an email and we have a code. Now we're generating a DB code too, which we're going to just leave it blank for now. We got to have it out here because of scope, basically, if you remember talking about scope, because where we're going to put it in here, well, you'll see here in a few minutes. So go ahead and create a DB code variable, and just like say, just leave it an empty string right now, and we'll be filling that out here in just a second. Alright, so next we're going to create a query, and as long as these queries, like you can, you know, you can have the different files and use query among the different files, but you don't want to use query, you know, within the same file more than once anyways. Alright, so here we're going to go select all from, and that little asterisk, in case I didn't say it before, means all. So select all from users where email equals email. Makes sense because all of our emails are going to be unique because it's not going to let you put in an email if it's already in the database. Alright, then we're going to create a result by running an MySQLi query. So we're grabbing the connection and we're running this query on the database, and we should get back a result. Alright, so here's the rest of the code for this little thing. It's basically if there is a result. So if there's a result, we're going to do this stuff. If there's not, I'm just going to print out no result was returned, or I should say echo, which that would come back to your app if it got to that point. But it should it should go right into this the positive part. So there should be a result. Alright, so while, and we're going to run this little thing, and we're setting a variable row equals, and we're doing a MySQLi fetch an associative array on the result. We're going to take the DB code and it's going to equal the row that we created here, and it's going to grab the code from our database. So we've got the ID, name, password, email, confirmed, and we got code. If we called it something else, that's what would go there. If we called it confirmed code, that's what would go there. So it's grabbing that row of whatever result is returned. Alright, so that should be our row because That's my email, cruisingkaraoke@yahoo.com. Whatever code is in that row should go here, and that's going to be the DB code. And the reason we need that is because we got to compare that to the code that's being passed in from the link that we're clicking on. All right, so come down here under that. Now we're going to run that if that DB code is equal to the code. Okay, so code is the one up here being passed in from the link that we click on, and that DB code is the one we're grabbing here from the database. And I don't know if I've said this in the past, but equal is like setting a value. So it's like we're saying DB code is equal to this. If you have two equal signs, it's a comparison. So is that equal to that? So you're not changing the value of either one. You're just checking to see if they're the same value. Okay. And if they are, we're going to run this set of code. Okay, but if they're not, and I always like to go with the not first, we're going to say, sorry, the codes did not match. Email verification failed. All right. And I usually go with that first because that's the easy part and get it over with. And that's what's going to happen if they don't match. If they do match, however, we're going to run another query, and we're going to update the table, the users table, and we're going to set confirmed. Remember, it's a 0 right now because we haven't been confirmed. We're going to set that to 1. Actually, I'm going to change that to true because we have false in the other one. But you can set them 0 and 1 if you wanted to. But remember, you want to leave it as a Boolean because a Boolean is smaller than an integer, so it saves you room in the database overall. All right, so we're setting confirm to true, and we're setting code back to 0, where email equals email. So basically, if the email equals the email, which it should, because there should only be one record return because we got it set up so you can't put more than one email in there, then it's going to update those two fields. So the confirm field will be true. The code will be, it'll get rid of the code that it has in there right now, change it back to 0. And then I went ahead and, like I say, you can call these variables anything you want. I don't know why I put an F in front of there, but anyways, I think our final result is what it was. We're taking the MySQL query, we're grabbing the connection, running this query, and then we're echoing, congratulations, your account has been activated. All right, so if everything works out, it should change the database, should spit back that, and everything should be good and should be verified. And then, of course, that will help when we get to the login page because we're going to have to check for that when we get to the login page. If you're not verified, you can't log in. All right, so let's go check this out. All right, so we're back over here. We're at our email. We don't really need our app right now because, like I said, we've already done this. And then one thing that we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to check to make sure that it kicks us back to the login page, because once we finish this, we're pretty much done with the registration app, or the registration portion of it. Alright, so let's go over here. We're going to click on this, and let's see what it does. Oh, wait a minute. Almost forgot one thing. Yes. So once you're done with that, yeah, you don't want to forget this part. So once you're done with that, click Save All, and make sure that you upload it. Delete that, and we're going to upload. Oh, maybe not. Alright, so I just deleted it and re-uploaded the one that we just did. And so we should be able to go back over here to databases. As you can see, the confirmed is 0, and you still have the code in there. Come over here and we click on our link. And something to to note is occasionally, because there's no real, how should I say, like email, I don't even know what you call it, but anyways, these emails might come through as spam. And if they come through as spam, the link might not work. So you'll have to copy the link and then paste it into your bar. So just something to note. So, but as long as they come through on your in your inbox, you should be able to just click on them. So we click on it. It says, "Congratulations, your account has been activated." All right, so that's good to know. If we go over here to database, of course, look, but if we refresh it, the number should change. Confirm should be a 1, and the code should go to 0. So let's go ahead and refresh that. And it's working. Oh, database went out. Took too long to do the stuff. So let's go over here to database. Manage database and phpMyAdmin. Now if we go in here, should be good. Oh, confirmed is 0. Okay. So, and the reason for that, remember I set it to true? I should have left it as 1. So give me just a second. Alright, just to show you a quick roundabout, I went ahead and deleted it out of here. Just run this. I changed that number back to 1 so that it would work. So we'll go over here. We'll bring up our phone. We'll go ahead and register again. It should work. Please check your email. If I click on it again, email already exists because I just popped it in there. Alright, if I refresh this page, should have a yep, so I'm in there again, and if you see the code is different, like I say, it picks a new code every time. That code should match whatever it sent me though. So if we go over here to my email and click on my email, of course it won't be that one. It'll be that one that just came in right there. So we click on that. If you remember, that looks about like it. Gives you all the stuff. Click on it. Should come up and say congratulations, your account has been activated. You go back to your database, refresh the page, and confirmed is now 1, code is 0, and everything's in there is good. So we'll get back to we'll get into doing the login here in the next video. Of course, we got to go through the design, setting it up and everything before we get into the actual coding. So be a little bit, but shouldn't be too long, and we'll have a fully working login part of our app anyways. So have a good one, and hope this all worked out for you.